I knew the joke before she told it. The reception hall smelled like peonies and warm linen. My mother had insisted on fresh flowers. It photographs better, and my father was already on his third toast, laughing too loudly at stories that weren't his to tell. I stayed near the back, nursing a drink I didn't want, adjusting my cufflinks as if they required engineering. My sister Elise floated through the room like she'd been rehearsing for this day since birth. In a way, she had. She always rehearsed her entrances. I'd almost convinced myself the night might pass quietly. A few polite nods, some harmless small talk, then I'd leave before the dancing began. But then she saw me. "Elijah," she called, bright and sharp, already steering a tall man in a tailored navy suit toward us. "Come here. I want you to meet someone." Her boss. I recognized him from the company website, the kind of face that lived in boardrooms and annual reports. Controlled, measured. He carried stillness like it was part of the dress code. "Elijah," she said, resting a manicured hand lightly on his arm. "This is Martin Hale, my CEO." Then she smiled the way she used to when we were kids, and she'd just hidden my homework before school. "And Martin," she added lightly, "this is the embarrassment of our family." My parents laughed immediately, too quickly. My father even touched my shoulder as if I were in on it. "There's one in every family," my mother chimed. It was the old script, reliable, predictable. I felt the familiar contraction in my chest, the reflex to grin, to absorb it, to prove I was easygoing. For years, I had done exactly that. When I left my corporate job to freelance, when my first business failed, when I moved into a smaller apartment, every deviation from Elise's upward trajectory had been curated into a punchline. But tonight, the joke sounded brittle, not because of me. Because Martin Hale didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. He watched them. Not me, them. The silence stretched a fraction too long. My mother's laugh tapered off first. Elise shifted her weight, her smile holding, waiting for the cue that never came. I felt something strange then. Not relief, not vindication. Recognition. He cleared his throat softly. "Interesting," he said. His voice was even. Professional. Almost curious. Elise let out a short, relieved laugh, assuming he was about to play along. "Because," he continued, looking directly at her now, "you're fired." No one reacted at first. It was delivered too calmly to register as drama. My father blinked. My mother's smile froze. Elise's head tilted slightly, as if she'd misheard him over the music. "I'm sorry," she said, still smiling. "You're fired," he repeated. Same tone, same volume. Effective immediately. A couple at the neighboring table stopped mid-conversation. Elise laughed again, thinner this time. "That's not funny." "I'm not joking." The words landed cleanly. No raised voice. No spectacle. He glanced briefly toward my parents, then back to Elise. "You represent the company publicly," he said. "We hold our leadership to certain standards." Disparaging family members for entertainment, especially in a professional introduction, demonstrates a lack of judgment. It wasn't emotional, it wasn't angry, it was policy. The authority in it was unmistakable. I was joking," Elise said, her composure cracking just slightly. "Everyone knows that." "I don't," he replied. The music continued. Someone laughed across the room, unaware. A waiter passed behind us carrying champagne flutes. My father stepped forward. "Now just a minute, this is her wedding." "I'm aware," Martin said calmly. "That's why I'm keeping this brief." He adjusted his cufflinks not unlike I had earlier. "You'll receive formal documentation on Monday. HR will be in touch regarding transition and severance." Transition. Severance. Words that didn't belong in a reception hall. He nodded once to Elise. A polite closure. Then he turned to me. There was no smile, no apology. Just a brief, assessing look. "I'm sorry for the introduction," he said quietly, and then he walked away. The room didn't erupt. There was no dramatic gasp, just a slow, spreading awareness like a draft moving through an old house. Elise's face flushed first red, then white. She turned toward me, eyes sharp. "You did this," she said under her breath. I didn't answer immediately, because I hadn't. That was the part none of them knew how to process. My mother grabbed Elise's arm. "He can't do this. Not today." "He just did," my father muttered. They were no longer laughing. I felt it then, the absence of something I'd carried for years. The weight of being the family's convenient contrast, the embarrassment. Elise searched my face for something, guilt maybe, or apology. "You're enjoying this," she said. I considered the question honestly. "I'm not," I replied. And I wasn't. Her wedding was unraveling in subtle ways. Guests whispering, bridesmaids hovering, the photographer pretending not to notice. I didn't feel victorious. I felt clear. For years I had tried to earn a different role in this family. More success, more stability, more proof. As if dignity were something granted by majority vote. But dignity, I was realizing, doesn't arrive through argument. It arrives through refusal. I didn't ask him to say anything, I said quietly, but I'm not going to pretend it was funny. Her expression hardened. "You're unbelievable." "No," I said. "I've just stopped playing along." That was the only line I gave her. No lecture, no revenge, no triumphant speech, just that. She turned away first. My parents didn't look at me. The rest of the reception continued in a fractured rhythm. Toasts were shorter, laughter more careful. Elise smiled for photos, but it didn't reach her eyes. I stepped outside before the cake was cut. The night air was cool and unadorned. No flowers, no applause. Just the low hum of traffic and the faint echo of music from inside. For a moment I expected the old feeling to return, that shrinking instinct. The urge to call her, to smooth it over, to reassure everyone that I understood it was just a joke. But it didn't come. Instead, there was something quieter. Space. My phone buzzed once. A message from my mother. "We need to talk about your attitude tonight." I stared at it for a while. Then I typed back, "I'm happy to talk, but I won't be the punchline anymore." No anger, no explanation, just fact. I put the phone away and walked to my car. Inside the hall, my sister's future had shifted in a single sentence spoken by someone who simply refused to laugh. I didn't orchestrate it. I didn't celebrate it. But I wasn't carrying it either. For the first time, the silence around me felt chosen.